Hello everyone, my name is Thomas and you are on my Lettercraft YouTube channel. If you are interested in letter crafting, please consider subscribing to my channel. Today I am going to share my insights and tips about the hand stitching. Just want to mention before I start, it's my technique and that is what works for me. If you find a better way for yourself, you are welcome to stitch in the way you like. If you will find some useful information for you, don't forget to press the like button for YouTube algorithm and check my other videos. First of all, I want to start from a quick look at the difference between hand and machine stitch. When you stitch by hand, you use one line with two needles on each end. Machine is using two separate thread lines. As you can see in this picture, when you stitch by hand, thread goes back and forth on either side, other than the machine just hooks another thread line and goes back. And the main pro of hand stitching is, if thread snaps on machine sewn stitch, it's quite easy to unravel along other than the hand stitched. To remove hand stitches, I would say even more difficult than the actual stitching process. So hand stitch is more durable comparing to machine stitch. Final look of stitch mostly depends on the shape of pricking irons you use for making holes, distance between prongs, thread thickness, and your stitching technique. And it's an absolutely subjective thing, depending on how you like it. Most common pricking irons are these: French style, which is a slash symbol shape. In my opinion, it looks best with a quite thin thread. Round pricking irons, which I would say best goes with a quite thick thread. And diamond shaped chisels. In my particular case, I'm using exactly diamond shaped holes for my craft, as I found stitch looks best for me with 1mm thickness Ritza Tiger thread I'm using. For a nice looking stitch, I would exclude two key moments. First of all, even made holes for stitching. Working with pricking irons, the main problem for beginners is even made holes on the backside. The more layers of leather you need to penetrate, the harder it is to make even holes on the backside. I had this problem when I started leather crafting. In my particular case, as I mentioned before, I'm making diamond shaped holes. I found a solution for this problem with this tool. You can watch the full video about this tool here, but it works only with diamond shape, as I didn't see any other shapes of prongs on this kind of tool. If you work only with pricking irons, it needs a lot of practice to make nice, even stitching holes. Don't think it's only your problem. I can ensure every new leather crafter had this problem, or still have. And it's the process of leather crafting where you should be focused the most when you're doing it. For sure, more expensive and better quality pricking irons will make your work much easier, but don't expect that if you will buy expensive pricking irons and your holes would be perfect. Absolutely not. You still will need a lot of practice. So just take scraps of leather, glue it, and try to do your best by practice. With time you will achieve good results. And then you just starting leather crafting, look for an easy project. Best of all to start with projects which consist of two layers of leather. And the second key moment of a nice looking stitch is the same sequence of actions for every hole. What I mean by that? Always repeat the same way. For example, in my case, I'm always starting by pushing the needle from the backside, bending the thread to the right, then pushing another needle through the same hole and tightening both ends of thread, always about the same force. And then repeating to another hole, starting from the backside, bending to the right, pushing another needle into the same hole, and tightening, and so on and so on. Always keep in mind your sequence of actions. It's not necessary to do the same sequence as I do. You can find your way. Maybe you want to start pushing the needle from the front side or whatever. Just do it in the same way as you start. Final look of your stitch also depends on action sequence you choose. So just experiment and find out what final look you like the most. I also make stitching groove, as I find out it works good for me, as stitch lies nice, looks better in the groove, and as thread is quite thick, do not protrude so much out of surface. How long should be your thread? It depends on how many layers you are stitching, but if I am going to stitch any craft for the first time, I take about 3.5 to 4 times longer thread compared to stitch on a craft. Usually it's enough. Then I measure the thread, and after stitching I will measure thread remnants. And then I know exactly what should be length of my thread. Take a note, and next time you will know exact length of thread you need. When you make wallets rarely, it may not matter even to take securely long thread. But when you are making wallets on a regular basis, it saves you time, as pulling even an extra 10 cm thread through each hole finally costs you a lot of time. And also, you do not waste as much thread. But be aware and leave some extra thread, as it's very painful when you realize in the end that you are just a couple centimeters short to finish. And what can I say? Remove a hand stitch takes even more work than actual to stitch it. As you probably know, for hand stitching we need needles on each end of the thread. Needle size depends on thread thickness you are using. In my particular case, with 1 mm thread, I'm using around the same 1 mm round, quite blunt needles. Here you can see how to attach thread to needle. Take one end of thread and push it through the hole, then with point of the needle penetrate through the thread twice and tighten it. And at the end I want to mention about stitching pony. As you probably saw in my other videos, I do not use it. I tried some time before, but it didn't stick with me. I feel more comfortable stitching freehand. If you prefer stitching with a pony, no problem, go with it. Just the same rule, always follow the same sequence of actions for every hole. That's it guys. If you have any questions, please let me know in the comment section, and as always, all my crafts and PDF templates you can find in my webshop strhandmade.com. Don't forget to press the like button. Thanks for watching and see you next time.